know what the hell's in there, but it's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
Bennings, go get Childs.
What is this?
What's it coming?
What's going on? Hey, Palmer, what is it? I don't know. Wait, Childs.
Mac wants the flamethrower.
Mac wants the what?
That's what he said. Now move.
Damn it. Stay back.
Mac, what is it? Get your ass over here! Burn it! Damn it, Charles, torch it!
Doppelgangers, this week on Destructomundo.
It's on. It's on. There's no sound. Play with the rabbit ears.
Reports, incredible as they seem, are not the results of mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria. Hell, they think we're imagining all this?
Destructomundo. Witnesses to the effect that people who acted as though they were in a kind of trance were killing and eating their victims prompted authorities to examine the bodies of some of the victims. Medical authorities in Cumberland have concluded that in all cases the killers are eating flesh. People they murdered. Repeating this, ladies and gentlemen, justice is honest. Hospitality. Civil defense authorities have told you that murder victims show evidence of having been partially devoured by their murderers.
Doppelganger.
That was my doppelganger.
What is the literal translation of that word?
I think it's like double.
Double.
Doppel is German for double.
Yeah.
What's ganger?
I knew that much because Doppelbach.
Man, I could have looked this up.
Doppelbachers.
Yeah. I just thought of that. It's essentially a double.
Yeah. I think it actually the term refers to a ghost.
Yeah, there's some sort of there's a folkloric. Aren't they kind of like those fairy babies that replace when they went?
No, I think that was totally
Is that something different?
Because they would do that right after birth.
Okay. But a doppelganger is some sort of evil entity that takes your place.
Takes your form.
It takes your form.
It feeds off of your life force or something.
Something like that.
As you're imprisoned or...
But basically what we're talking about is an enemy that looks human but isn't human.
Right.
Or imitates a specific human.
Yes.
Yeah, by imitation, drawing in,
evil twins.
Right, right. Evil twin theory.
Evil twins. Evil negative galaxy clone doubles.
That's right.
Bizarro.
That's like your favorite subject.
Yes,
Eric.
the bizarro world.
Pod people.
Hey, that gives a whole new meaning to the term podcasting, doesn't it?
Dum-dum. Sure.
It does if it's cast from a pod.
Well, I mean, like, of course we're drawn from the Invasion of the Body Snatchers there with the pod people.
Yes, the masterpiece of the
Right.
doppelganger concept.
With the alien spores that make their way to Earth and start to produce pods. And
Did they look like giant okras in the first movie?
they kind of do. I mean, they sort of in the 1978 remake is the one I watched the other day, and to get prepared for this, and they had they came down to some kind of slime first, and then all of a sudden they became pods. But they were
Oh, they were
tiny
like
little pods that
flowers.
were attached to leaves, and they had a little flower on them. And people were picking them and looking and smelling them because they smelled really good or something like that. And then, of course, they
They keep flowers on their night table by their bed.
Well, it's a creepy concept. I mean, it really is, because then they got some, this spores rain down from the sky, and then they start to leave pods everywhere, and people are taking them home, or they're, they're around them at some point when they're sleeping. That's the whole...
Yeah, and then the thing within the pod, when it's in proximity to you, it starts to adopt your form.
Right.
It starts to shape within the pod. It's like somehow, psychically linked to the person or something, and then as it nears maturity and time to bust out of its pod, the people sort of like... I watched the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers just a couple weeks ago, and as they start, they're almost kind of drained a little bit as it's drawing,
Right.
So it's sort of like becoming them, and they're sort of being drained by the pod, and then as it sort of hatches, for lack of a better term, it's fully awakened, and then they sort of slip into almost like a coma and then just fade away.
Right.
So the pod version of you adopt the evil alien. But see, it's the creepy thing in that is that they're not so diabolically evil. It's that's just, it's really weird because it's they want to be here, and they sort of they become that form to, but I mean they don't do anything like blowing shit up, they're just they're just taking over from within.
But they do want to keep, they don't want any people
Propagate
to be
their
around.
species.
Yeah, it's just their form of survival.
Well,
it's
they want you to, they want you to submit. So basically, they become you, but you die.
Yeah.
So they are killing you.
Yeah, but I mean, it's they're just, it's so subtle,
Right,
that
right.
they'd rather be here, and they want to be here, and we have to go for them to be here.
Right.
So, but they sort of, that's their.
But notice how they do it. They take on the visage of the dominant life form.
Well,
so they
it's...
basically...
Well, wait a minute. That's not
they inhabit,
necessarily true, because at least in one of the movies, wasn't there one of the pod beings was a dog with somebody's human face or
that
something?
was in the remake.
Okay.
And it
I don't
was
know
because
if that
when Donald Sutherland saw the pod next to the old man that played he played saxophone out in front of the building where he worked, and he had a dog. He kicked the pod that was next to him, and the pod started bleeding out of it, kind of. So apparently, it malfunctioned because of him kicking it, and it became a dog-faced person.
I thought it was a
Or no,
person-faced dog.
it was a person-faced dog, right. And the girl screams, and that's
I'd
why the pod
forgotten
people
about
know, But yeah, I mean, what it's doing though is it's taking the form of the dominant life form on the planet in order to be able to live in its place, in its infrastructure. Sure. It takes its form.
So yeah, I mean, they get rid of us, and if they take our form, then they get to use all our stuff.
Right.
Well, they never went to the nth degree in those movies where they had. What would they have done once they had assimilated everybody? Would they still keep their forms, or would they just,
Well, it looked to me that they didn't really have a form. They were able to take on the form of whatever they were. Because when Leonard Nimoy's character was as the scientist guy, actually says that they fly around the universe on the solar winds, and land on planets with life, and actually do this often. So apparently they make more spores, and those spores end up in space and land on other planets and take over the dominant life forms on those planets. So actually they're all over the place. in that. I don't know. That's what he said. That's
Yeah,
what
that's what I
Leonard
mean.
Nimoy
Yeah,
says.
you know,
you gotta trust.
And
gotta trust
in the original, they never go into great detail as to, what happened. You know, what would happen eventually? Like, how do they, if they're in human form, how do they produce more pods, or do they? You know, how do they?
Right.
Whatever. But it's just the sort of creepy concept, of like, and obviously the original, I guess, it's always been referred to as like a, sort of Cold War.
It's an allegory for the Cold War.
Yeah, very. It's the one of those classic.
Like, who's really a person?
Yeah, us and them,
really
and
a pod person, you can't tell because they look the same.
The sort of enemy, the enemy within.
Right, it is. It's the enemy within. It's exactly what it is.
Commies, but it's a creepy ass concept. You know, of like, when you your friends might not still be your friends, and then like the whole thing in the movie where they like you can't go to sleep, because when you go to sleep that's when they get you. Right. You go to sleep and the pod's like draining your essence, so to speak, and like then you don't wake up. Like,
well, they take over when they become you. They take over your memories apparently, and they take over your knowledge.
That's the scarier part is that they take. Not only do they take physically your form,
right?
They actually like psychically drain you,
right?
But so they essentially do become you, depending on your definition
but with a
of
different
self.
set of desires and motivations,
and that hive mind type thing.
Right. Yeah. They're all about like the hive.
It's been so long since I've seen the original. Weren't they all kind of like off in the original?
Yeah,
they were just kind of like zombies.
Well, in the original, they had different ways of lighting. And they also showed them from a different camera angle, so
they're all
they would
like
give you visual clues as to who was a pod person.
And they're all like a little. They're not, it's not really dramatic, but they're all like a little cold and distant. Once the pod versions. But I always got the impression like it's because they're still fairly new that like if they had time, they would sort of
Well, in the remake, they did say that they were. They were free from emotion. There was no need for hate or love, and that was the kind of the rub, that they were emotionless, that they were driven to propagate their species, and that's all, So there was no individuality, and that's kind of the thing, is that it's in the allegory for communism, is that it steals your individuality, takes away your passions, and gives you only the desire to propagate the species, or the
species of commie,
or the goals of the commies, right?
You live to spread the revolution, man.
Yeah, the individual no longer means anything.
Well, that's
the way I live, man.
But the thing that gave me
I took
away from watching the remake was that not only it was two things. Donald Sutherland is a creepy guy, and I think more so because when I see him, I always think of that scene in Animal House where he's wearing the sweater with no pants. It's like, come on, why was that even necessary? I mean, that's such a terrible scene, but there it is, right? And he wears a similar type of sweater, I think, in one point in the movie, like in this, and then
I remember Leonard Nimoy being dressed like Carl Sagan.
Right. He was tall turtlenecks and the suede patch sleeves.
Because I guess at the time that's how like a clever scientist was supposed to dress.
But then there was the rivalry between him and Jeff Goldblum in the movie, as they were kind of rival scientists. It was passing the torch,
like
man,
a death
because
match.
after that movie, Jeff Goldblum was free to do whatever he wanted to, playing pseudoscientists in every movie he's ever been in, practically.
Best role, of course, was
The
Buckaroo
Fly.
Banzai.
No, The Fly.
Buckaroo Banzai.
He's really good in Buckaroo. Yeah,
he's good in Buckaroo, but I got to give it to The Fly. I mean, that's he got the star in that one at least. Peter Weller, on the other hand, is actually a scientist in his own right. He's a school teacher anyway.
What's Peter Weller have to do with anything?
He's in
Well,
Buckaroo
he was
Banzai.
Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of The Fly. I'm like, he wasn't even in that movie.
But yeah. Hooray for Buckaroo Banzai.
I wonder if the people who wrote Body Snatchers, was it based on a story or was it just a screenplay?
I think it may have been a story, but I don't
It's
know.
probably inspired by something. I don't think it's directly based off of it.
That one Lovecraft story, it's like the Shadow Out of Time, or the Something Out of Time, where the guy's like a teacher in class, and all of a sudden he appears to just like have a mental breakdown. But what happens is that that cone race that lived in prehistoric times in Antarctica, great race of Yith, like mentally projected their mind through space and time and took over his body, and his brain went back there. And
I remember that story.
Is that the Shadow Out of Time?
Something Out of Time.
Shadow Out of Time.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it is. Yeah, I remember it though. Yeah,
There's
all kinds of that. I mean,
great race of Yith, the cones. Yeah.
I remember the great race of Yith, but I don't remember what they did.
It's easy to get all that stuff mixed up because there's so many like brains going through outer space.
But yeah, I guess that's another sort of spin on the concept of like, what if they don't
even have to leave their home planet,
or what if they don't adopt your form, but what if they actually like take control of individual people,
right?
And then sort of that's what I was trying to the one that I was trying to think of earlier, that it's a Eric Frank Russell novel. He's one of those golden age sci-fi guys from the 50s. Very, very good. But there's one like that where it's like aliens that are sort of psychically, control an individual. Like they almost sort of, leech on to people and sort of psychically control them, and then they sort of are spreading within the human race. And there's like a, one, like this detective guy who's trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And it's like they're like invisible, sort of psychically powerful alien creatures that are controlling people.
Well, yeah, there's the whole thing with the aliens that attach themselves to, on your spinal column and basically control.
Yeah, those are like symbiotes, sort of
But this is something, but
that's still sort of the same concept in that you are no longer in control and you're doing their bidding. And you look just like yourself, because that's the whole idea. Is they
like
want
that little
you to look
wormy
just like
thing
yourself.
from Star Trek 2?
Yeah.
From the Wrath of Khan, when they stick the little worm in Chekhov's ear.
right,
into
that
his
earbugs.
brain.
There's that episode of Outer Limits where they put the thing on their back.
Yeah.
And
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. And it controls you, and they're like these little, it's a similar thing
Or
because
the brain slug from Futurama.
Yeah.
Let's go to the planet of the brain slugs.
Here's
a new hat for you.
but I mean, obviously, it's there's a whole unique sort of set of challenges when the enemy looks like people,
right?
When they look human. I guess even if it is like a human being controlled by some non-human entity, or a non-human creature that adopts human form. Either way, like if you can't physically distinguish them, you're gonna have a hell of a time. Best thing is to get some old newspaper and some cloth, put it down on the floor, and shoot everybody.
Just to clean up after yourself.
Yes, just gather together some old towels, some old towels.
You never walk into a room that's covered in plastic.
Yes. Get some old towels, T-shirts, rags.
It's always a tip-off.
And some plastic. Put it down on the floor and shoot everybody. It's the only way to be sure. If you're reasonably sure that you're still who.
Or you can just tie them to a bench and poke them and test their blood with a flamethrower and a piece of copper wire.
True. Yeah.
See, that movie's a great study in the whole concept of, like, when it becomes the sort of us and them, and who's
trust and paranoia,
who is who, and who's I mean, it's so claustrophobic, the thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's once it starts to, once they figure out what's going on,
right?
Or they have some basic idea of what the fuck's going on, and it's so claustrophobic and everything, and contained there. There's so few people that, as paranoia and suspicion spreads, it's you get sort of a basic idea of what would happen, just on a much grander scale if it managed to reach areas of general population.
Right.
And you have this.
But that's the thing. I mean, in reaching populations, like in the Body Snatchers, in the 78 remake, it takes place all in San Francisco. Because apparently the invasion takes place only in San Francisco. Like, that's where the spores land. And so, like, the initial wave of body snatchers is there. And then
nobody would even notice because they're in San Francisco and everybody acts weird.
Yeah, right. I mean, but they're shipping pods off to other places.
All kinds of stuff starts in California, you know.
Well, yeah.
So they think, well, all the people in California are acting like
because they're all like in Sausalito and stuff. And
I think the original's in.
It's like some little town somewhere, isn't it?
I think it's in California too. I was gonna say it's like I think it's like the San Fernando Valley or something. I think it's somewhere like that, but I think it's California too. See, if you're acting weird in California, apparently,
but yeah,
you don't stand out as
they
much.
have to spread it out to other places, and they palletized a bunch of pods.
Yeah, there's the great scene in the original when they're shipping out the trucks full of pods to the surrounding towns.
Yeah, it looks like fruit and like
they're like giant bean pod looking things, and they're throwing them like a 3-foot long beans, you know. Giant beans thrown them in the truck.
The thing that was nasty is the way people looked when they just first became pods, you know, or just came out of the pods. Like they sort of slurped out of the pods for one.
Yeah.
And then, the giant flower would open, and then the petals would fall off, and then they'd kind of pour out of it. Yeah. And then they'd be covered in the sort of like the postnatal grossness stuff, it's just nasty. But when people, like, the whole concept of, not being able to sleep, because if you slept and you turned into a pod person and you die, it's not like they killed you, it's like you died and they came to life. So there wouldn't be the moment of struggle between you two to find out who lived and who died. It would be you just died and they lived.
So in order to avoid that, would you just buy a bunch of NoDoz and don't go to sleep? Is that right? Or get a new place
until you physically
don't have the pod in your
bedroom.
bedroom.
That's what they did. Like, they were all just munching speed. Like, here's Donald Sutherland, and it's funny because it's in the 70s and it's Donald Sutherland, but he's like looking at this bottle and says, "How many are you supposed to take? 1. Take 5." And so that's like his, probably his.
I don't know if I'd want to be fighting aliens on that much speed.
Right. I mean, you'd just be a little jittery. You wouldn't want to have like a gun or anything.
Sit in one place and chew my tongue off,
Right. But they were, it was probably diet grade speed, so it was probably pretty good anyways. But then,
it's
they
I mean,
after him, and then that's when Nemo came and like shot him up with stuff. But they,
But see, in the original, I think they were just had coffee and cigarettes.
Well, coffee and cigarettes, man, will do it. That's for sure.
So I drink a bunch of coffee and chain smoke.
Yeah, I quit smoking, but I guarantee if the aliens attack,
I'm
starting.
I was going to say, but back to the other movie that immediately comes to mind with the concept. We're about The Thing. Again, it's like. It's only doing what it's doing because, like, that's how it survives.
It's biological.
Right.
Yeah,
imperative.
like that's what it does. It's not like here to like take over the planet in the sort of evil, imperialistic alien conquest type of way. Like it's just that's what it does to survive. Like it,
Well, it's unclear as to how it moves around because, like in the beginning of the film. You have a spaceship crashing on Earth.
Yeah.
And then the film opens basically with the helicopter coming over the cliffs in Antarctica. And the guy with the binoculars looking out the door of the helicopter. And then you see the dog running across the snow. And then the dog looks back to see the helicopter, and then it starts taking off running again, and then the guy pulls the rifle and starts shooting at it. So you don't know what took place between when the helicopter is chasing the dog and when the...
It's kind of like what he was talking about.
Spaceship crash.
Or like we were talking about like with the sort of the... It seems like it quickly figures out that like the most efficient way to spread is the sort of dominant, is to adopt the form of the dominant life form.
Right.
If it takes human form, obviously it can spread much more quickly than, but obviously that it's opportunistic. So
well, it is, but it also is highly intelligent because if you remember, like the person that had the best chance of actually taking over was Clark. Clark was the dog handler, and he was alone with the dogs for the longest period of time, and he didn't take over Clark. The thing did not take over Clark because it would have become immediately apparent after that the thing would have been discovered, and it knew it was eventually likely to become discovered, that Clark would have been the first person to assume was a thing. But it didn't take over Clark.
It's because it's tricky.
Yeah, because it thought about it.
It's another one of those. It's an interesting. Again, it doesn't go into like the, even the original, the short story that the movie's based on doesn't go into great detail about the sort of the big picture of it all. Of like, there's the one being, there's the thing, and then like it, as it sort of like it has to like. It kills a person, and then it
affects the cells to make those cells become like
it's sort of
itself.
Like there's like the
it doesn't dump a body or anything like that.
But there's sort of like the partial. But then like everything that gets sort of infect, they use the term infection, but when it gets it, as its cells use the normal, Earth, because it does dogs, it can do presumably, any, I guess in theory any life form, I don't know, but as it sort of uses the Earth life form cells to make more of its own cells, like you would have the invader cell, how it takes it over and it reshapes it to become its own thing. But the thing is if you initially have this one being, this one thing, and then like is that how is it reproducing that way, and then is like is it like the one that becomes the first, I guess there's Palmer, and then the one that was the dog, and but I mean it's like how are they connected?
Well, it seems that what
you know what I mean is like is it like one thing that's
how it reproduces.
Yeah. But then like they become its own sort of separate being
with its own like defense, its own agenda and its own survival. It doesn't really work with the other.
So that's what I mean.
But it works.
It's like
to survive.
Yeah, it's kind of like the thing with the pods. It's like it's not the sort of alien invasion like we've come to take over your planet, and we're going to use you for food type of, alien invasion thing.
No, it's
this being that like that's it's just doing what it does.
Its reproduction is its primary goal.
Like any life form.
Right.
I mean, but it's that's what I mean. It's like it's somehow so much more creepy because there's not like this malevolent will.
Mm-hmm. No.
It's just like...
Well, that might be how it got the spaceship to begin with.
You
can't assume that it just had its own spaceship. And
right, it could have taken the spaceship of a being that it assimilated
even though
planet.
It starts building another one at the end.
Right. It is smart enough to create an escape pod, so we have to kind of assume that maybe it built the spaceship.
Well, you can
and it's building the spaceship out of parts that they had lying around.
Out of helicopter parts and
right.
gasoline generator,
sure.
apparently.
Sure. Strip the fire.
I love that whole scene of like, the generator's gone. Can we fix it? It's gone.
Yeah.
I kind of always just assumed that it kind of went back to the original spaceship.
No, it was building another ship underneath.
It went back for spare parts. I just assumed that.
Well, no. It was so far away. It would have had to actually ride on the helicopter. And I don't think anybody who went to the site became thing.
No, it came from the dog that was running from
Norris,
from the Swedes.
No, it made that
Norwegians.
spaceship.
Norris did.
Well, yeah, but he didn't become the thing until later on. He didn't go there and as the thing.
No, but Norris did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, Norris became the thing after he was bitten. After they tied everyone up. No, that was Windows.
Yes.
How did Norris become?
Who is Norris? Which one was he?
Norris is the one that has the heart attack. And
right. He's the one that goes out to
Copper's,
the thing and says that this thing's like 100,000 years old because of the layer of ice.
He's the geologist guy.
Oh, the guy whose head pops off?
Yeah,
He
kind of
has the heart attack,
guy.
and then Copper's
and
defibbing him.
Yeah, the one that's spider head.
I thought he went. Didn't he go at one point like looking for one of the other guys, and then went into a storage room, and then you kind of see a shadow like go by, and he turns around. And that's the last time you see him before he ends up having a heart attack.
I don't
No, he has the heart attack during the
blood test.
No, it's before that because
it's when they attack. It's when they attack McCready. When they go into the room to attack McCready, McCready's got the dynamite.
So when
and he's been outside
knocks
the whole
everybody
time.
down.
When Knowles cuts McCready off the line,
right?
And and then McCready comes in through the storeroom window, and there's all that hoopla, and then Norris has the heart attack because I always took it because he had a bad heart, and it perfectly mimics his form.
Right.
So it's like the one that became Norris even had the bad heart.
Yeah.
And the stress of the whole thing.
And that bites the doctor's arms off.
And then Copper's defibbing him, and the chest.
Right. And then the chest opens up as a mouth.
It's awesome.
Because it apparently
I don't
the
remember
outward form, and then it takes on the inward form as well. Like first it takes on your outward form, and then it starts to work in like all your organs.
I can't. I'm not remembering the details of when
I don't know when he actually became.
I think they're keeping one of the bodies in some room someplace, and they don't know how to. There's like one of the guys gets
well, it's the one whose face is all
and they had
twisted out of control. But isn't that the one they brought back? Like from
that's the initial one they bring back from the
and it starts to unthaw and something's dropping on the ground.
Swedes.
Well, we'll have to watch it again. I thought I remember him like creeping around looking through a storeroom.
That's
and
like the
something
running
sneaks up
joke
on
in the whole thing is that like
they're Norwegians.
McCready keeps calling them Swedes and
yeah, because a couple years ago at it was Christmas or Thanksgiving, my cousin had the Norwegian. She's actually, I think she's still here. There's this Norwegian girl, exchange student.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that was not this past Christmas, the one before that. And she was this Norwegian exchange student that was staying with my cousin, and I kind of mumbled, "Hey, Sweden," like that, and of course my brother was the only one that got the joke. My cousin was like, "She's from Norway," and I went, "Hey, Sweden," like that, and no one got the joke. Anyway, But yeah, basically, there's the small group of people in this Antarctic research station, and there's this alien that, in an attempt to ensure its own survival, is slowly taking. It can take over like one person. If it's alone with a person, it attacks them effectively and infects them with its own cells, which then assimilate its cells and adopts this form of this person.
Right.
And then in time, there would be, two of them. If nobody else is around and it can take over,
If you're given enough time in order to be able to fully transform into the person.
And then, then there would be two of them. And then they could be alone, or one of them could be alone and then get somebody with somebody and then get that person. But again, it's creepy because there isn't this malevolent will. It's like it's just this, that's the way it's sort of ensuring its survival and its species survival. It's large,
But it attacks people in a pretty gnarly
manner.
it's
gruesome and bloody as hell. But
yeah, especially when the dog first goes into the kennel.
I saw that movie
sitting in the middle.
I saw that movie sneak previewed.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, you have no idea that's coming.
Right.
I saw it. It was back when they really did sneak previews, so it was the week before it officially opened.
Oh, a whole week?
A whole week. The Friday before the Friday that it opened. It was sneak previewed with Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, wow. What a double
Which is
feature.
a hell of a double feature.
Oh, you know.
And I and both my brothers went to see it. I was... That opened, what, summer?
It was 82.
Summer of 82? Yes. So I was 11. And we'd all three seen the original thing 100 times on late night TV, which is a great movie in its own right, but doesn't involve doppelgangers.
James Arness and green makeup.
That's a great movie, though. But anyway, so we went to see it sneak previewed, and we'd grown up watching the original Thing from Another World many times, and just thought it was going to be like a high tech modern remake. Yes, and I remember you're sitting there watching it, going like, this isn't kind of like the first one, But then the initial freak out scene with the first dog and all that happens. Right. And I was sitting there, I was 11 years old, just like, what the hell is going on? I remember the guy in the row in front of us was there with his kid, and he covered up the kid's eyes. When the dog started spurting and spraying everywhere.
The dog's like, it just like flops open.
And the face kind of peels open like a banana.
Tentacle comes out and starts like,
and there's the tentacles and it's spraying everywhere, and the other dogs are freaking.
And then the things are coming off its back, and the legs pop out, and you're like, what
but
the hell
that's
is that?
And it's so well done, because before that it's just kind of creepy and kind of quiet.
The music is awesome. It's that great Ennio Morricone soundtrack.
But
with
it's
the, keyboards.
but the whole it's one of the most it's just such a terrifying concept, because like I said, it's the whole enemy within thing of like, when you can't tell who the bad guys are.
Right.
If they look just like us and they're moving freely among us by taking our form, it's like, if the Earth was being overrun by 8-foot tall green aliens with tentacles, that'd be bad, but at least you could clearly spot them. You know what I mean? You're like, hey, there they are, shoot. But I mean, again, it's the creepiest fucking thing. Is like, they look like you, they're around, they're among us, but we don't know. And
yeah, you don't know who it is.
Yeah, and then if people your friends and family have been taken.
They know
over,
what you know, so they can totally fool you into thinking that's them. Well, we're gonna take a break here and for station identification, and we'll be back in just a moment.
To the sponsors?
Yes, the sponsors.
The invasion fleet stood on full alert. Admiral Thurlock paced the bridge of his flagship, eye stalks trembling with fury. The door dilated, and Chief Nologist Grimble entered nervously.
"Is it true?" the Admiral growled. "Have the Earthlings destroyed themselves before we could get to them?"
No, sir," said Chief Grimble. "All radio emissions from the Earth did go silent, but it's not because they destroyed themselves. Quite the opposite." He held up a small rectangle of white plastic. "They've been hurling these into space in place of radio waves. It's called an iPod Shuffle."
"Great gods," said the Admiral. "Could they have advanced so quickly?"
"They have, sir. We've been analyzing the contents. We've learned that Earth's media dictatorship has fallen, replaced by a free republic of so-called podcasts. Everyone has total free expression, and all their music can be played without a license. They all gather in an alley to elect their leaders. Currently the benevolent Queen Dawn and King Drew in the capital city of Coverville."
"But how?" the Admiral demanded. "Where did they get such ideas?"
"Well, sir, you're not going to like this part. Although they're free, they all bow to a supreme overlord, Adam Curry."
"Curry has conquered another planet?" the Admiral roared. "Damn that galactic rock and roll geek. This is the bitterest pill indeed."
Yes, sir. What should we do, sir?"
"Do? Well, we can't fight them. We'll have to create a podcast of our own and corrupt their regime from within. Get me a computer, a microphone, the cheapest mixer you can find. We will show them that we, too, have audacity."
Yes, sir," said Grimble, backing away slowly. This wasn't going to go well. He wondered if there was time to jump ship. The Weiner Rebellion was still going on in the asteroid belt. Surely they had need for an evil genius.
"And prepare the Votatron!"
Escape Pod, the science fiction podcast magazine. Find us at escape.extraneous.org.
Have you ever wondered what is the connection between science fiction and philosophy? Do you ever wonder, am I really just a battery in a machine? What is a worldview anyway? Are my memories really real? Can I have free will if the pre-crime precogs know the future? If you answered yes, no, or maybe to any of the previous questions, then the Sci-Fi Show is for you. The show that deals with those interesting questions about life, the universe, and everything, as found in science fiction. And no, the answer is not always 42. The Sci-Fi Show, a 20-minute fortnightly podcast, putting the philosophy back in sci-fi. For more information, go to thescifishow.blogspot.com, and that's phi with a PH.
And now, Destructomundo presents Badly Translated Spam Poetry by James. Download instantly expensive softwares at only $29 to $55 each. Disappoint by Gene Kalin. That's whom why. Similar fascinate carefully. Reference immediate bad we turning is. End shining human different steps. Here force brought motor hard. Mischievous supposed to pride. Again letters development slow speaking. Sandwich use steps. End wife prison like the make. That's all for this week. Join us again for another session of badly translated spam poetry. We're back, and we had to take a beer break. Tonight's broadcast is being brought to us by
beer.
Beer. Bell's Amber and Fuller's London Porter, and BBC, which stands for the Bluegrass Brewing Company.
It's a local
Mephistopheles Metamorphosis. Belgian triple
Drink a bottle
style
and turn into the
ale,
devil.
which has a lot of funk in the bottom of it.
I think it's cheese.
Parmesan?
This beer has that hint of feta.
He could actually make beer cheese.
Speaking of feta, tomorrow or today, can't remember which, is Greek Independence Day.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Yay, Greece! Independence
Right,
from what?
right. Yeah, from what?
From the
Ottomans, okay.
That's why they still hate the Turks.
Because of...
They had to throw off the whole Ottoman rule.
Yeah, it was pretty recent. It was late
In the
1800s.
1800s.
Yeah, it was the turn of the century, man.
That's what. Isn't that where Byron died?
Did he?
Lord Byron, who was killed in combat
in
Greece.
I didn't know that.
He was fighting. So. He at least he fought with the Greeks supposedly.
Well, that was the.
I bet he was doing something other than just.
Speaking of
fighting.
doppelgangers in Greece, didn't Zeus always change into swans and have sex with women?
Have sex with cows and.
Right, that was a stick.
I don't know.
No, he changed into a bull and had sex with a woman.
Yeah,
that's right.
He'd go down to Earth and do some freaky, totally kinky stuff with people. Because he would he'd be like, hey, there's a hot chick. I think I'll make myself into an animal and totally, freak her out.
And do her.
And do her as the animal, 'cause
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, that's, yeah. Where's that, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of turning into stuff and having sex with women, Uther Pendragon got Merlin to call the worm.
Right.
Yes.
So he turned into the visage of...
Called the worm?
I don't remember the name of the guy, but...
Duke?
Well, yeah, one of the dukes.
Oh, yeah.
And he had sex with his wife.
That was in...
And sired Morgana.
Is that really part of the mythology, or is it just part of Excalibur?
I don't know.
It was pretty cool in Excalibur.
He kept his armor on when he was doing that.
Yeah, he did her in his armor, man. That's hardcore.
That's probably cold for her.
She was probably digging it, dude. She looked like she was digging it.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, he did her in his armor.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that one. But
I remember.
Again,
that.
he's
That's
the Duke
hardcore,
of,
man.
I'm not remember which Duke that is, but
wow. No, she didn't. Morgan was already alive. Like,
Oh, yeah.
That's how Arthur came about.
Really?
Yeah, because remember, like Merlin says,
Oh yeah. Oh
I want the product of your union.
Yeah.
So he rides across the bridge, changes into the Duke. And
it wasn't
then,
the bridge; he rode across the air.
Yeah, he rode across the air, the mist of the dragon.
On the dragon's breath.
Yeah, it was
right.
across the moat. Yeah.
Across the moat.
And then rode in the castle,
Just hit
ran
it.
Inside, hit it, and left. Been like,
Yeah.
oh baby, I got to get me some.
And then she's barely like getting dressed, and they bring in the Duke's dead body.
Right. And she's like, you visited me.
This is wildly off topic.
Yes.
Hey,
we had to
it's
do it
not.
at some time, right?
He was doppelganging.
Bestiality was.
Oh, that's-
He was
and
doppelgang
drinks
banging.
and-
Let's say doppelganging. That's like doppelganging is like a double teaming.
Doppelgang banging.
Me and my buddy, we were doppelganging this girl the other.
Oh my God.
We were doppelganging her. I don't know.
She thought we were somebody else.
She thought there was only one of us, but we were doppelganging her. She thought, wow, you really move around a lot. She had magic hands. But, oh, that's my buddy. See, it's coming back after the break. It takes us a while to get her.
Right.
Back.
Wow.
Get back into the swing of things. Anyway, let's say like the.
I think we invented a word. That's awesome.
Doppelganging.
Submit it to the online like sex encyclopedia.
We need to have it. Yeah, there's got to be like the sex Wikipedia.
We gotta put it on Wikipedia.
We're actually on Wikipedia.
Are we?
Yeah, we are.
I'm not sure that there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of stupid crap.
Yeah,
on
but
Wikipedia.
if you look up apocalyptic and post-apocalyptic media on
Well, that's
Wikipedia, we're on there.
But so to try to possibly, conceivably, theoretically get back on topic,
Do you think we could do it?
I'm going to try.
All right.
Obviously, I guess like I said before the break, if there is some sort of like I said, the alien invasion of 8-foot tall green things with tentacles, at least you can see them.
Yeah.
But obviously, what we're talking about here, like the great challenge, whatever the mechanism, ever how they take over our form or take over our bodies or whatever. I mean, the great challenge is that if they're successful at it, if they look just like us or close enough, because most people aren't very observant.
That and most people are really ugly, so it wouldn't be hard to
So if you're a little bit melty around the edges,
you'd be like, yeah, he's just a little melty,
You got web fingers.
you're like, man, that guy's
yeah,
ugly.
you got web fingers.
You're a little bit off,
Right.
They just think you're really ugly. But, even if they look like us and if they can, function well enough to not stand out dramatically, they may be kind of weird,
Right.
But they don't have to. You just be like a weirdo, right? You'd be the weird guy riding the bus late at night with a big can of corn. They're not going to think you're an alien, But it's like the great challenge is like first of all, how do you tell? How do you tell? Do you think? I mean, I guess if it's somebody you know really, really well, you could be like, man, he's acting really freaky.
Right.
And he's filling his shed with these big pods. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing in Invasion of the Body Snatchers when a dude goes to like tell anybody about it, he's like calling all these agencies and trying to tell them. He's like, hey, because when Donald Sutherland's on the phone, they make a montage basically of him being on the phone with all these government agencies, and talking to him and saying, well, don't tell anybody, that you've talked to me and blah, blah, blah. I'm with the, the federal blah disaster people and stuff like that.
The FDP?
Yeah. Yeah, but, nobody basically does anything.
Aren't they also like...
That's pretty much like the government.
Yeah, in fact, they turn out to be like
it's just like FEMA.
Already. Well, they in fact already are pod people because then he's at home like
I thought they were just bureaucrats.
Like Mr. So and so, and they're like, I didn't tell you my name, and he's like, how did you know my name? And then the cops are barricading the street in front of his house, and they all
like
got
the Men in
take
Black
off.
too.
Yeah, because they already got assimilated by the pods. Apparently, the pods are the pod people are apparently know how to take over a planet because that's their deal.
In old Westie slang, the word pod stood for your package.
My pod.
Yeah, like in
Westie slang,
an old Western slang, or at least according to Larry McMurdy,
slang.
as in Lonesome Dove. When what's his name?
Make mention of pod.
He's like, well, this water's cold enough to shrink my pod. That's what he said.
Okay.
And the reason I remembered it is because it was Robert Duvall who said it in the movie.
Shrink my pod.
What the other cowboy said?
Oh, it was when the cowboy was a woman, laughed at him.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
Okay. Interesting.
Shrinking your pod, huh?
Cold water, my pod got all shriveled up. Sure, that's a good excuse.
I wish I could quit you. In your pod. Broke Pod Mountain. Is that what it was?
Haven't seen it. I've seen the 30-second bunny version of it.
30-second. Oh, really? Is there a 30-second bunny version of Brokeback Mountain?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
Have you seen the Brokeback of the Dead?
No.
Yes, I've seen Brokeback of the Dead. So, yes.
No. What is it?
It's like from Day of the Dead with the doctor and the I don't know the trained zombie or whatever he is.
Oh, the one they've got him in the.
Yeah.
They've got he got his one zombie. And he's teaching it how to talk, trying to teach it how to talk and ask for stuff. And
oh boy,
you remember Day of the Dead?
Yeah.
And they capture the zombie and put him in the cell, and the doctor's like, "I'm gonna turn him back into a human."
Right.
Like,
Wow, that's off topic.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yes.
Well, no. I was thinking that during the break that there is another movie that I think that deserves to be talked about for the doppelganger genre of media, of film, which maybe some would disagree with me on this, but they live, and that they are taking on human form,
Or V.
Or V.
V was just makeup.
Right,
well, I mean, they live. They just made you see.
Yeah, but they were aliens, and you could tell they were aliens because they all wore the Nazi uniforms. But
they weren't technically
with the space swastika, symbol on them. And
right,
stuff.
they weren't doppelgangers, but I guess you're right.
But yeah, technically, I mean, I guess, like I said, it presents the same challenges.
Yeah, they weren't passing themselves off as a human, but they were passing themselves off as human.
Right. They live. I mean, you had to put.
Yeah, I guess you've got
going to.
Going to, man. You have to.
You can't make it.
I'm not going to put the fucking sunglasses.
Which also had Keith David in it from The Thing.
Not to be confused with David Keith.
No.
It had Cy Richardson from Repo Man, too.
That's right.
Excellent.
We're like IMDb here. And 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
Rolled up in the
we're like 6 Degrees of Warren Oates. That's gonna be my new bar game. Start drinking and play
6 Degrees of Eli Wallach.
That's where they get you on the Kevin Bacon. It's always Eli Wallach. I swear, every time. They get you with
How's that?
They get you with the Eli. He was in a movie with Eli Wallach. Eli Wallach's been in everything.
Well, right.
For like 20 years, it was just like. Well, in
Eli
Hollywood,
Wallach.
it was Wallachwood.
Okay. All right. I'm going to force us back on topic by bringing up. Hey, okay. I was, when the thing is a great, like, movie period. Okay. Especially because, all right, I was watching it and I noticed that they had some of the best things you could ever have, period. They had dynamite, flamethrowers, a bulldozer,
really cool
a helicopter,
a sombrero.
the coolest hat I have ever seen.
Sombrero with the brim pulled.
Scotch whiskey and morphine. Like,
And
that is a party.
Thiokol Snowcat too.
Right.
Which is those things are cool.
Oh yeah, that's a party.
And Palmer had weed.
Yeah, they were growing their own hydroponics because remember they broke into the thing. That is a party. Right, they had the plant, the hydroponic lab that they broke into, and they were looking for the thing in there, and then they burned it. Because they were trying to burn it out. Yeah, they had but that's the best equipment. I mean, all you really need is a bulldozer and a flamethrower to have like a really good time. But they had it all.
Fire axes and shotguns.
Yeah, they had fire axes all over the place, and I cannot try to go to Home Depot and try to find a fire axe. You cannot find an axe with a spike on the end of it. Mm-hmm. They don't make them for some reason. I don't know where you can get one, but they had them.
I do.
Spades.
If you want to order one, I don't know where you can go in town and buy one. I know where you can order.
Right. I would just feel weird ordering a fire axe on the internet, getting it in the mail. Like
I'd have it delivered
the
to
UPS
work.
guy.
What's that package? Just like shaped like an axe but wrapped in brown paper?
Wrapped in brown paper and looked just like an axe with the spike and everything. And like the tag on the axe head, and you're like, thanks, I really need this. And then grin and open your eyes real wide.
I went to order, Cheaper Than Dirt had military surplus Swedish pickaxes, and they were like 2 of them for $9. I was like, all right, that's a bargain. But the shipping was like $30. So I was like, forget about it, man.
Yeah, you need like a titanium axe. Something that weighs like 2 pounds, and it's just absolutely huge.
But what about not doppelgangers, but changelings?
Changelings, yes.
It always seems that they're portrayed in like literature, whether or not they're diabolical or not, as hated and feared. Mm-hmm. Like the what's his name on Deep Space Nine? That whole race of changelings was like worshipped by one side and like utterly feared by another.
Right. Well, worship and fear kind of cool.
To the point where they, the good guys tried to commit genocide on them.
Right.
I don't know, man. I don't watch that nerd
Deep
stuff.
Space Nine. No.
I'm sorry, I don't have cable.
Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nerd.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a truck stop in outer space.
It is kind of.
It was Star Trek The Waiting Room, was what it was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But, that's understandable that it's like I said, that when there's something that's different than you, but it could take the form and look like one of you and your kind.
It's inherently to be feared.
Yeah, obviously it's understandable that if there was an entire race of beings.
The other example I can think of is, and to totally nerd out, there were changelings in Palladium Fantasy role-playing. And they were, totally like...
What about the
nerd alert?
Nerd alert.
That's a podcast on the internet.
No, you want to nerd out? You want to nerd out? There's a changeling in Krull.
Oh my God! He said Krull.
I saw that in the theater.
There's a Cyclops in Krull too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I went to the theater to see
How the hell did we get to Krull? No,
was Eli Wallach in it?
No.
Okay.
But,
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson's in Krull.
Can we get this
Freddie Jones, the guy that plays Thufir.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Nerd
Nerd. Man, the video game was awesome.
The video game ruled. It was awesome.
The Atari game?
No, the arcade version.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, that game is retarded.
The arcade version was cool. With the glaive.
The glaive. That was when every movie had to have some kind of weird weapon. You remember Sword and the Sorcerer? You had the tri-blades.
Was that the one that shot the blades off?
Yeah.
With Lee Horsley. And what's his name? The melt-faced guy. The guy that's all Bernie. Yeah, that's a good
man. Oh my God! We actually.
Which one had the crossbow with the magazine?
That's Hawk the Slayer.
Hawk the, okay.
The elf with the auto loading.
No, the elf hat was just really fast with the bow and arrow.
It was the guy had that.
There was some like a magazine loaded crossbow.
Man,
I've never seen that.
Sweet, this is the best episode ever.
Oh my God!
But yes, an auto loading crossbow would be excellent for killing doppelgangers.
Sure.
Does anyone have Hawk the Slayer?
Hawk the Slayer?
I don't think it's ever been. Actually,
yeah, it's out.
It's
out now.
It's on DVD, but you have.
But
to
the bastards haven't released Megaforce yet.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Jack Palance is in Hawk the Slayer.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah,
as Voltan.
I don't remember what his name was.
I don't remember what his name is.
He was
But-
hardcore though. I'd hate to have Jack Palance as a bad guy. He wouldn't want to fight. That's like having Lee Marvin as an enemy. I remember I was watching what was it? Bonanza was on the other day with Lee Marvin, and he was like, they were mining in one of like the one of Lauren Green's sons.
The big one or the little one?
I don't know.
Or did I say the big one? Or the
He was the older one.
Haas?
No, not Haas.
Little Joe?
No,
The other one.
the other one. Adam. Yeah, he was actually like, making him mine for gold. Not giving him any water or any food or anything like that, and making him work, really long hours and shit. And I was like, man, that suck ass to have Lee Marvin for, a boss. Period.
Especially if it was a doppelganger, Lee Marvin.
Lee Marvin's evil negative galaxy clone double.
Right.
Fernando.
What about?
Yeah, okay, then there's the evil negative galaxy clone.
And they always have goatees.
Well, yeah.
That's been the running jokes in Star Trek.
Oh, exactly.
I used to have the
Benders.
You see, the Adam,
I used to have
you're
the
the evil Adam.
The Star Trek.
Somewhere there's a good Adam.
The Star Trek the cards, like the Star Trek trading cards with the pictures. I used to have the one from Mirror Mirror on my refrigerator.
I had the Mr. Spock desktop.
That's the it's the picture of Kirk in the sleeveless outfit next to evil Spock, and they're standing there. It was the still from Mirror
costume because he has the cummerbund sort of thing tied around.
He's got the gold sleeveless thing, and then there's
the laser dagger.
Evil Spock,
And
Uhura's got the two-piece thing with the exposed midriff.
Right, because
is that the one where
for that deal?
Where George Takei, whatever, it's like is running around with the sword, foil or something.
But he's got the scar. Evil has the
scar
scar
on
down
his
his
face, right?
Yes, that's a good one. Yes. Well, that's a whole different thing. If you want to deal with like not just a doppelganger, but your like alternate dimensional version of you,
the evil twin theory, man,
from your evil negative galaxy clone double.
That's right, because your evil twin. I mean, is he more crafty than you?
What if they come and then they come here, and then like you shake hands and destroy the universe?
Matter, antimatter sort of thing. I don't know if they're made of antimatter though.
Which is another Star Trek, the one where the guy's fighting his antimatter self.
Right, and they have to lock him in that.
Do they talk backwards like Bizarro?
Yeah, Bizarro's like.
But how come just like Elaine said on Seinfeld, how come he never said bad bye?
What?
Forgot about that.
The Bizarro Jerry episode of Seinfeld.
Right.
She was like, wouldn't he say bad bye? Because they're like, that's the Bizarro Jerry.
Yes.
But also the Bizarro Jerry, but I forget what his name was, but he was supposed to be from Kentucky.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I remember that.
They had Feldman, they had Jerome, not Jerome now. They had I don't know. That was one of the funnier ones. I think.
That's a good one. But yeah, that's a whole different level of doppelgangerism.
Yeah, where you have your alternate universe self.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
You're evil. But yeah, as I say, that's another episode of the original Star Trek. There's the guy that's basically battling, has been battling for eons with his anti-self from the other dimension. Right. It's like the evil,
And whenever they fight, everything shakes.
Yeah, it's like ripping the fabric between the dimensions, and then he's got that sort of space-time traveling vehicle that
they have to trap them in that.
They trap them in like a tunnel wormhole between dimensions to preserve both, both realities. But it's pretty heavy stuff.
Right.
I bet they were high when they wrote that.
They're just kind of grappling
forever.
Greco-Roman
Like
fighting.
the good guy, like he realizes that he has to do that to ensure the continued existence of both realities. Like he'll have to be trapped for all eternity,
right,
in this in-between thing, battling his anti-self. But that's I don't even know what you do in that case. If your evil twin from the other dimension comes, why would they come here looking for you?
Well, because you're their evil twin.
Because they're evil.
Because they're evil, and they, you
then
exist.
But yeah,
cramping their style.
If you are sort of interdimensionally connected in the way that if in like a mirror kind of way, like if they kill you, wouldn't that somehow disrupt their existence?
I don't know. They're evil.
But they're so evil they don't care.
Maybe they're they're
if they kill you, they become more powerful in their dimension.
Right.
A la that Jet Li movie.
Yeah, the one where he kills everybody. Like he kills all his alternate universe selves. And then he becomes progressively more powerful.
There's like multi-dimensional, like there's a version of this guy in many dimensions, and then one of them figures out that there's like a finite amount of power distributed among them. So he gets this way to hop dimensions and kill the other ones.
Right.
And then the power becomes more concentrated in him.
Yeah, and that way he can become like
like the Highlander.
There can be only one.
Right.
The SUV?
Yeah.
Yes. But Forerunner was a better movie.
But Forerunner 2 never.
Forerunner 2 Electric Boogaloo.
No, they never made that movie,
Yes.
remember?
Ooh. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't make Forerunner 3.
No.
But it's a terrifying concept of this like I said, the enemy that
is ourselves.
Yeah, that looks like us,
Right.
Especially that sort of paranoiac Cold War mentality,
Well, Wilford Brimley's character, Wilford Brimley, gotta love Wilford Brimley,
on horseback, hawking diabetic.
The thing is,
you've never seen a
gotta
horse look so painful.
Gotta test her blood 3 times a day, and he isn't even in the scene where they're doing the blood test. But totally should have been, because he could have been there to tell us all how.
But anyway, what?
But yeah, I mean, he remember when he's like on the Trash 80 computer, like doing the simulation.
The pixelated blob comes over, turns red.
It's doing the cells, being changed by the other cells, and then he goes and types in probability of other team members being infected 75%, and then he goes, how long it would take for a worldwide, entire population infected, and it was 27,000 hours is what it came up with. So that's about 3 years.
That's longer than a day.
Yeah. But that's like once it left Antarctica and reached an area of general population.
Right.
Within 3 years, the entire planet.
But I love how that movie ends with Childs and McCready sitting across from each other, sharing kind of like a bottle of liquor and just looking at each other, kind of distrusting, because they didn't like each other in the movie, and they're just looking across at each other, wondering which one of them is the thing, if it's still alive, is it one of them?
But yeah, that's like the ultimate challenge of that doppelganger thing, ultimately it is trust, because that's when it's like you really have no one to trust, or you don't know,
right?
Because the whole sort of us-them thing.
Trust becomes a commodity. You have to decide who you can trust because you know they were with you. And you can trust you, but can they trust you?
Yeah.
Well, that's when you just take blood.
The
sort of blood testing thing. You just refine that technology.
The sort of
you can't tie them up in a chair because I'm not going to have any of that. I saw what happened.
The sort of the us-them concept that's the basis of the conflict when you can't distinguish us from them.
Right.
Like, you could say, like, the whole thing, like I said, like I keep saying, if the alien invaders, if they're so distinctly alien.
Sure, if they're all
so like,
and lots of eyeballs.
So then there's like some other person, you're like, well, that guy, he's a fucking dickhead, but at least he's a human.
Right.
And that's like in all those bad movies where there's like the people who used to not like each other and then they join forces to fight the common enemy type, crap. But at least
mutual distrust of each other makes them stronger.
I hate you, and somehow that makes me better.
Right.
And at some point they probably were in love with the same woman because that's a good plot device too.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I love about the thing is there's no women in it
but
at all.
secretly, they really probably just want to do it with each other.
Like in Top Gun.
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
And
those guys had to want to do it with each other. You had like Val Kilmer and Tom Cruise in the same room. Tom Cruise is probably all over Val Kilmer for that.
But when you take away that basic us them thing to where you don't know who's us, who's them, and then there's no one. That's the terrifying thing about it. There's no one you can count on except yourself.
Right.
Ultimately, the one person is still human, is you.
Yeah.
And I don't care how well you know somebody, once that concept has been introduced into your mind, once you realize there's something out there, there's something around that's capable of taking human form, there's always going to be a grain of doubt regarding any other person that you come into contact with.
Exactly.
That's the terrifying thing.
It's a specter of distrust for your fellow
and
man
that
you do trust. Specter.
Because that's why it's such a great concept to explore. It's so profoundly terrifying. Because you can be somebody you've known for 20 years. It could be your best friend, your brother, your spouse, whatever.
Right.
But once that concept has been introduced, there's always you start to think, well, they didn't always do that, or they just did something really weird. Maybe that little grain of doubt gets in there, and then it just starts growing. And ultimately,
well, perhaps we ought to go a little further into this, and then talk about the Stepford wives, and that they
Well, that's robots. If we
they
we'd
were robot
be talking
doppelgangers,
about
though. You
Blade
had
Runner and
basically
everything else too.
Well, the women in the community slowly being taken, control.
Well, that happens anyway.
But they did have, the I only trust you and everything's freaking out and
having sex with robots.
And then the one robots. That's the future, man. That's where the money is at. Trust me on this one.
Screwbots.
Screwbots. It's the heated real doll.
Doppelgang bots.
Pleasure droids.
That's right. But anyways,
there is some doppelganging.
There is a lot of this out there. There's a lot of media.
Well, yeah, it's a like I said, it's a great concept to explore because
the enemy is ourselves.
Because you get this whole don't break that, please.
I'm not gonna break it.
The
it's playing with an ammo box. Or a piece of styrofoam, rather, that's contained.
I'm surprised there's not ammunition sitting on the coffee table. There usually is.
I know. There's always like several boxes stacked up.
And a couple of loaded magazines.
In jeopardy of knocking them over.
Yeah, I was cleaning up today. I put all the ammunition and loaded magazines next to my bed.
Oh. Belong.
But I was going to say, it's such a great concept because, you get the whole sort of that, like I said, that fear, paranoia, trust, mistrust, but ultimately it comes down to the sort of philosophical question, I guess, of what is it that makes you human? When there's something that can look human and act human, it becomes a question of how human is it? Because it's not actually human, And then what is it, if it looks like you and acts like you, how is it different than you? And I guess, a lot of people have tried to explore that aspect of it too.
Right. And that's the psychological mystique behind the entire thing, is that how do you tell?
But it's one of the most...
What makes a person
it is,
a person?
It's one of the most terrifying sort of plot devices of that whole, enemy invasion type of thing.
Yeah, if they're totally you, their motivations are what make them who they are. So if they're your friend...
Because I'll take 8-foot-tall green things with tentacles any day.
Yeah, because you can shoot them.
Well, I can shoot lots of stuff, but it's just easier.
Yeah, but any endeavor you need a flamethrower for is okay with me. So bring it on.
Well, it's never a bad thing to have around.
No, but they had 2 of them. You know, that's just, I mean, 2.
It's not like, I don't care what the situation is, you're never going to go, I wish I didn't have that flamethrower.
No. I do remember, though, that, like, the whole scene where McCready's, like, standing there with the sticks of dynamite, like, the 5 sticks of dynamite going, I'm going to blow us all to hell. You know, if anybody moves, everybody put down everything, and, Child's character actually... Because he tells him to put down the flamethrower. He turns it off, but he blows it out. Like he goes...
The pilot light on the
Yeah, he blows out the pilot light on the flamethrower and puts it in. I mean, that's I think that's kick-ass.
Okay.
I think is what I'm trying to say. Because that, you gotta blow out the flame on the flamethrower.
Okay.
But I've never had a flamethrower, so... But I've always wanted one.
I've seen a few up close.
We'll get you one.
Really?
Maybe.
Well,
really?
You're good.
2 weeks
I'll
from...
be good.
Well, actually, 2 weeks from today is the spring 2006 Knob Creek shoot with flamethrower rentals.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey.
I was going to say, I've been out there a couple of times when they light them off.
Oh, I'm down with that.
Everything within like 200 feet smells like burning gasoline.
Oh, jelly gasoline.
It's awesome.
You can't buy it, but you can rent it.
So, do we have any listener emails to?
Oh yes, we need to mention our friend JQ from Australia, who
another Australian fan.
We don't have his email in front of us, but we read it earlier in order to memorize some of the strong points. And
he recommended some sort of candy. What were they? Caramel koalas. They're like chocolates with caramels. Are they shaped like koalas?
Right.
Or koala flavored?
I think they were just called koalas. He said that they didn't stink like eucalyptus and pee.
I think he was responding to our endangered marsupial on a biscuit comment.
Right. And to the doc, man, we still got to get him his
doctor.
Those are going out this week. So
yeah, we got it. We are going to send them out. They are coming. We've been a little lax in our endeavors as of late, and we are going to send them out. But to JQ, he mentions that he started out on the show. He thought we sucked, and then he grew to like us, which is how a lot of people.
That's been that way all my life.
Right.
You meet me, you think I'm an asshole.
Yeah, right away, right.
You give me a little time, I grow on you like fungus.
Sure. Like an
but
infection.
you never stop thinking I'm an asshole.
No, you're just like, hey,
appreciate
I can dig it. He's still the kind of asshole I want on my side. So that's how it works. And we love our Australian listeners. Absolutely adore them.
Well, we love them all.
And we hope the rats do stay out of your rice stores. Apparently they got in them in 99.
Rice stores. I don't have rice stores.
No. Not real big on rice. I mean, like, it's a great thing to have around, but I mean, like, a big bag of rice isn't the first thing I think of. Like, if anything, I'm at mashed potato stores. Like instant mashed potato stores. Just a big bag of instant mashed potatoes. That's all I need. And I hope the rats don't get in them.
I don't think rats will touch that.
I hope not.
It's really just paste.
That's alright. I love paste. Is it really?
No.
Potato paste?
No. Well, I don't know what they make it out of. It's just a starch.
It's dehydrated flakes of potatoes.
Yep.
It's not really potatoes. It's really horses.
But they do make glue out of starches.
Horses?
Yeah. No, they make horses out of glue.
Do they?
No, they make horses out of potato.
How do you think
they make potatoes
stick?
What, the potato stick?
How do you think they get the hair to stick on the horses?
Potatoes.
Glue?
No,
they make vodka out of potatoes.
That's kind of like...
They make vodka out of horses. No.
What?
Wait.
Yes.
They make horses out of potatoes. I'm confused.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm totally lost now. I don't know what we're talking about.
Well, we're out of time.
All right. Yes,
we're overtime.
So...
Am I getting paid double now?
Yep.
Paid?
No, time and a half.
Who's getting paid? We're getting paid?
Payback. You getting payback?
We're like the ultimate nonprofit. We don't even bring in income. By the way, we do have T-shirts for sale at the website. Check it out.
We need business cards.
No, we don't. Business card costs money.
No, we need ID
cards.
Business
card.
I'm saying to like leave places, not to sell.
Oh, right.
Like business cards just to like leave.
To leave.
Like when I dropped that bomb in the bathroom at the bookstore, I could have left a Destructomundo.
I'm sorry for dropping the bomb.
We need official ID.
Man, I had El Caporal, man.
Right. Mexican food will do it. We're even getting off talking on leaving the show. I can't believe this. This is insane. We do this every episode. We can't help it.
It's
We're
a
just
tradition.
like this. It's the way we do things.
So have we established anything?
No. We've definitely not talked about how we defeat the...
That's what I mean. It's. I don't have the answer.
Just depends.
No, I don't have the answer.
I think it's beyond defeat.
I think, like I said, it's one of the most frightening and challenging concepts.
Right, because I mean, eventually you're going to be assimilated. You either can't like stay awake forever.
You will be absorbed,
or the many mouths of the thing will eventually eat
you
your
are
ass.
You are not of the body.
You are not of the body.
We're back to Star Trek. It is the will of Landru. You will be absorbed.
Oh yeah! If you didn't know we were nerds, we're nerds now. Oh, that's right.
Love that show.
Oh, it's just great. Yeah,
but it's a terrifying concept.
Well, absolutely.
And I don't have the answers. I don't know.
No. But if you do have the answers,
if you know how I can, test people to find out if they're human or pod.
You gotta do the blood test, man. It's
blood test?
Yeah.
What about that Scientology personality test?
I was like, what the fuck, man? He was like cutting open, like when he cut open the dude's thumb, and like he did it all like hardcore, like across his thumb. Yeah. And it's like, man,
it's a good half inch
he's not
deep.
gonna be able to use his hand for like a week. He's not gonna be able to pick anything up. But yeah, that's a rough way of doing it. Just
I don't know.
Blood. He could have pricked him instead of.
I don't have the answers.
Test your blood 3 times a day. Eat your oatmeal. Yeah. All right. We're ending it now. Okay.
Good God, man, let it go.
So from Destructomundo, this is James, or is it?
Bizarro Ted M.I.
Evil Adam.
And me.
The evil me?
I'm the evil negative galaxy clone double of me.
Oh, okay. All right. Just making sure.
Anton.
All right. Good night, everyone.
I'm gonna hide this tape when I'm finished. If none of us make it, at least there'll be some kind of record. Storm's been hitting us hard now for 48 hours. We still have nothing to go on. One other thing. I think it rips through your clothes when it takes you over. Windows found some shredded long johns, but the name tag was missing. They could be anybody's. Nobody trusts anybody now. We're all very tired. Nobody trusts anybody now. There's nothing else I can do. Just wait. R.J. McCready, helicopter pilot, U.S. Outpost number 31.
Hey, you made it through the whole show. Thanks for listening. Destructomundo can be found on the web at www.destructomundo.com, and you can reach us by email at destructomundo@gmail.com. Send us any questions or comments you might have about the show. Thank you again for listening.